1. The origins of the Trojan War. The origins of the Trojan War are shrouded in myth and legend. According to one story, the war was caused by the goddess Eris, who was angry at not being invited to the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, the parents of the famous Greek hero Achilles. In revenge, Eris threw a golden apple into the wedding banquet, with the inscription, "To the fairest." This caused a dispute among three goddesses, Aphrodite, Athena, and Hera, each claiming to be the fairest. The dispute was eventually settled when Paris, a Trojan prince, was chosen by the goddesses to judge the contest. Aphrodite promised him the love of the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, if he chose her as the fairest. Paris then traveled to Greece, where he abducted Helen, the wife of the Greek king Menelaus, and brought her back to Troy. This act of abduction was seen as a great insult to the Greeks, and they launched a massive invasion of Troy, which led to the 10-year-long Trojan War. 1. The main characters of the Trojan War, e.g. Achilles, Hector, Agamemnon, etc. There were many important characters in the Trojan War, each with their own unique personality and role in the conflict. Here are some of the most notable. Achilles, the greatest warrior on the Greek side, known for his incredible strength and bravery. He was invulnerable except for his heel, which was his only weakness. He was eventually killed by an arrow to the heel, shot by Paris. Hector, the greatest warrior on the Trojan side, known for his courage and honor. He was killed by Achilles in single combat outside the walls of Troy. Agamemnon, the leader of the Greek forces, known for his arrogance and pride. He was responsible for the sacrifice of his own daughter, which angered the gods and led to many misfortunes for the Greeks. Odysseus, a clever and resourceful Greek warrior, known for his intelligence and cunning. He was the mastermind behind the Trojan horse, which allowed the Greeks to finally breach the walls of Troy. Paris, the Trojan prince who abducted Helen, which led to the start of the war. He was known for his good looks and charm, but also for his cowardice and lack of fighting ability. The different perspectives on the Trojan War, e.g. Greek vs Trojan, gods vs mortals. The Trojan War was a complex conflict, with many different perspectives and interpretations. One of the most interesting aspects of the war is the fact that it was not just a simple battle between two sides, but rather a clash of cultures and ideologies. The Greeks saw themselves as the defenders of civilization and the rule of law, while the Trojans saw themselves as the protectors of their homeland and their way of life. This fundamental difference in worldview is what ultimately led to the conflict. Another important perspective on the war is the role of the gods. In Greek mythology, the gods were often seen as powerful and capricious beings who could intervene in the affairs of mortals at will. In the case of the Trojan War, the gods were heavily involved in the conflict, taking sides and influencing the outcome of battles. For example, the goddess Athena was a strong supporter of the Greeks, while the god Apollo favored the Trojans. The gods also played a role in the fate of individual characters, such as Achilles, who was granted invulnerability by his mother, the sea nymph Thetis, but was eventually killed by an arrow shot by Paris, guided by the god Apollo. Overall, the different perspectives on the Trojan War highlight the complexity and richness of the conflict, and help us to understand the many factors that contributed to its outcome. 1. The role of the gods in the Trojan War. The role of the gods in the Trojan War was significant and complex. In Greek mythology, the gods were often seen as powerful and capricious beings who could intervene in the affairs of mortals at will. In the case of the Trojan War, the gods were heavily involved in the conflict, taking sides and influencing the outcome of battles. For example, the goddess Athena was a strong supporter of the Greeks, providing them with strategic advice and helping them in battle. The god Apollo, on the other hand, favored the Trojans, and was said to have aided them in various ways throughout the war. In addition to taking sides, the gods also played a role in the fate of individual characters. For example, Achilles, the greatest warrior on the Greek side, was granted invulnerability by his mother, the sea nymph Thetis. However, he was eventually killed by an arrow shot by Paris, guided by the god Apollo. Overall, the role of the gods in the Trojan War highlights the complex and often unpredictable nature of the conflict. It also underscores the importance of understanding the cultural and religious context in which the war was fought, and the ways in which these factors influenced the beliefs and actions of the people involved. 1. The Trojan horse and its significance. The Trojan horse is one of the most famous and enduring symbols of the Trojan War. According to legend, after 10 years of fighting, the Greeks were unable to breach the walls of Troy. In a last-ditch effort to win the war, the Greek hero Odysseus came up with a cunning plan. He built a giant wooden horse and filled it with Greek soldiers, then left it outside the gates of Troy as a supposed offering to the gods. The Trojans, thinking that the horse was a gift, brought it inside the city walls, not realizing that it was filled with Greek soldiers. That night, Odysseus and his men emerged from the horse and opened the gates of Troy, allowing the Greek army to enter and sack the city. The Trojan horse is significant because it represents the power of deception and cunning in warfare. It also illustrates the importance of strategy and planning in achieving victory. The story of the Trojan horse has been retold countless times over the centuries, and it continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. It has become a symbol of treachery and betrayal, as well as a symbol of victory against overwhelming odds. 1. The aftermath of the Trojan War and its impact on Greek mythology. The aftermath of the Trojan War had a significant impact on Greek mythology. Many of the stories and legends that we associate with ancient Greece today were influenced by the events of the war and its aftermath. One of the most famous stories to emerge from the aftermath of the war is the Odyssey, which tells the story of the Greek hero Odysseus and his long journey home after the war. Along the way, he encounters a variety of mythical creatures and challenges, including the Cyclops, the Sirens, and the angry god Poseidon. The Trojan War also had a lasting impact on the political and cultural landscape of ancient Greece. The victory of the Greeks over the Trojans was seen as a triumph of civilization over barbarism, and it helped to establish the dominant position of the Greek city-states in the Mediterranean world. In addition, the war had a profound impact on the religious beliefs and practices of the ancient Greeks. The gods played a significant role in the conflict, and their actions and motivations were often seen as reflecting the larger forces of fate and destiny that shaped the lives of mortals. Overall, the aftermath of the Trojan War had a far-reaching impact on Greek mythology, culture, and society. It helped to shape the stories and legends that we still know and love today, and it continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world.